Welcome to Changa SportsTalk on Industry Sports Podcast, hosted by DeeTrynt. Today, we're going to cover America's favorite pastime, the number one sports show in the league, in the country, the number one sports show in the country, the number two sports show in the country, and it's a weird period, all right? It's August, hottest month of the year, NFL in the off season, NBA in the off season, and this is why the MLB is called America's favorite pastime. Okay, so now we gonna get into setting the tone for the show. All right, we're gonna cover MLB leaders and what's going on the diamond. All right, we've got some interesting names up here, some standouts, and some, it's post-pandemic season. Teams got to play last year. They did get to play last year, but it wasn't really no fans in the stands, and it was all this extra intricacies about what to do and how to do it, when to do it. No, we all lived it. I don't have to really talk about it. So, America's favorite pastime, baseball. It really, really, really helps, because if you've ever been to a baseball game, baseball is way more fun in person than it ever could be on TV. All right, like, you got to be a real fan to be able to enjoy baseball on TV, and I know that because as a Guardians fan, back when they was called the Indians, early 90s, mid 90s. Okay, we had Albert Bell, Carlos Baerga, Omar Vizquel, Manny Ramirez, Sandy Alomar Jr., Jose Mesa. You know what I'm saying? We had hold on, I'm missing my picture boys, but Mike Hargrove was the general manager. Okay, we had our heart broke. All right, and let me tell you something about Cleveland sports. Okay, all right, it's crazy how we're a historical sports city. All right, when it comes to the pioneers and the roots, and the inaugural greats of a lot of these sports, man, Ohio is all over the place. All right, they're all over the place. Okay, so y'all got to start putting some more respect on my city, man. All right, put some more respect on my city. Just bottom line, got to put more respect on my city, because we are on the way back. All right, we are on the way back. We've had, still speaking on baseball. All right, just still speaking on baseball. We got Terry Francona as the skipper. Now, if anybody is kind of new to, the baseball world and what goes on and what be happening and all that, then Terry Francona is that guy. All right, Tito, he's that guy. He was in Boston with the Red Sox. You know what I'm saying? They had the great teams where Pedro Martinez, Big Papi, Manny Ramirez. They had oh my God, what's my pitcher name? Oh, what's his name? Not Nolan Ryan. It's the other one, but I'll remember in a minute. All right, but anyway, all right, he led that team up against some of the most powerful Yankee teams. You know what I'm saying? Derek Jeter and them. And they and he's a solid skipper. Just bottom line, historically great skipper. All right, historically great. He's been over here with the Cleveland franchise for several seasons. He's already taken us to the playoffs multiple times, taken us to a championship. We almost had the Browns, and we almost had not the Browns, the Cavs. I love them Browns so much, man. You don't understand. They just be flashing in my mind sometimes, all right? But the Cavs won the ship in 16, and then the Indians went to the ship in 16, the fall of that 16. And they were up on the Cubs 3-1, man. One game! We needed one game! You know what I'm saying? But the Cubs that year were the best team in the league. They had a bunch of hitters. A lot of those guys, I think the rest of that team that was on that championship team, they've now just traded off in this past MLB trading deadline. But that was a historically great team as well. Cleveland held their own, but they just couldn't finish the job. And now, he's starting to get them to use their talent. All right, we've always been good with pitching. All right, but we've always been bad with payroll, and we've always let our good players walk. You know what I'm saying? Right now we got Shane Bieber, the quality pitcher, Cy Young Award winner last year, if I'm not mistaken. We still got Jose Ramirez over there playing third base, who's a good two-way, defensive third baseman and a good hitter. Fermil Reyes. He's been a guy that's been coming on last couple seasons. He kind of reminds me of a Big Papi. So I think the roster is coming together. We got quite a few guys on there who can contribute right now. You know what I mean? I mean, the Dodgers, they're, and it's funny how the West, the NL, is strong. They got a couple weak teams, but they're pretty strong. All right, with the Giants and the Dodgers, they're pretty strong. And but Tampa Bay is in the AL running things, but you still got the Yankees not far behind, the White Sox, they doing their thing, the Astros doing their thing. So I personally, when it comes to baseball, I like the postseason, the hunt for Red October, as they call it. To me, whether you watching it in the stadium or on TV, baseball playoffs are entertaining. All right, if you understand the game, you know the game. Even if you don't know the players, if you understand the game, it is quite entertaining. The calls, the signals, the steals, the clutch hits. Baseball isn't my number one sport, but as a kid, I'm a sports fan, man. I listen, I watch all sports on all levels. All right, Pee Wee League, high school, college. You know what I'm saying? Professional. Sideline leagues. I watch hockey. I like hockey. Hockey like baseball. I like hockey in person. I can watch it on TV, but it's got to be the playoffs, man. It's something about the playoffs. The playoffs. All right. NFL news. We going into the second week of the preseason, man. This is really what's going on. The first week was mostly about just getting solid game reps for guys, being able to look at film and see things. I think because, the season has changed in the NFL where 17 regular season games, which makes, an 18 week regular season, 18 weeks in a regular season, with the buys and everything. And, the preseason shortened to 3 games. Usually, you go to third game, all your players play, dress rehearsal, as they say, and then you have the last game for everybody else trying to make the team. But and me personally, I kind of I've elaborated before. I like the extension of the season. I like that they extended the rosters and the practice playoff squad members that you can keep, you know, with extending the season. So, you got a lot more people to play in your arsenal. A lot more teams could play. And, it forces coaches to have to use their entire repertoire, and really manage, load management of the NFL. I guess you want to say, it's like unwritten mandatory now, I guess. It's just unrealistic to ask, any football player for the way football is played to play 24 weeks, which is 23, 24 weeks out of the year. You know what I'm saying? Like, the game is just a little too brutal. But, I like it how the preseason is designed with the 3 games, because I feel like you could just let the people trying to make the team play the first 2 games. You know what I'm saying? You can let guys get healthy. You know what I'm saying? You can let them do that. Then in the third preseason game, you can actually let your players run like 2.5, 3/4. Because it's 2 weeks in between the last preseason game and the first game of the regular season. So whatever happened, you still got 14 days to still get ready for your next opponent. After you basically kind of let your players kind of just, practice, go through repertoire, help, you feel me? And then two, hindsight, a side note, or secondary effect, probably is a better term to fit here. It forces the veterans to really get involved with the young players, all right? Because they're not playing necessarily in the games, the vets or the starters, the stars, but they're getting to see and help coach up the young players at the position. They're virtually getting to pick the type of players they want backing them up or playing alongside them in a position group. You know what I'm saying? I don't say like they get the last word, but you as a player understand if a player, can play. If he really got it, if he just needs some motivation, or if he really just need a mental game, or he need to just get his physical up because his mental game. It all depends. Every player varies. You feel what I'm saying? But in 18 games, man, you gonna want your position group to stand out. You know what I'm saying? And now you know how the game is changing. Offensive stats are about to be high as hell. Oh my God. Do not be surprised if we see a 6,000 yard passing. 6,000 yard, 6,000 yard passing. All right. Do not be surprised. It is not impossible for a quarterback to play all 17 games. All right. Matter of fact, everybody expects it. All right. But for those who don't, it's good to have quality backups. You see how Nagy doing it with the Chicago Bears, and I do like what he's doing. And I like what Shanahan's doing too. Let the young guy play in the preseason. You know what I'm saying? At least the first 2 games, let them play. You know what I'm saying? They're gonna be your backups. It's a long season. Let your backups get reps. You know what I'm saying? With the joint practices and the third preseason game, that's more than enough time between, from the start of preseason to the regular season first game for everybody to get ready, to get healthy. You know what I'm saying? Get over any extra injuries, not re-aggravate anything, build a little more camaraderie. You feel what I'm saying? So, everything a gift and a curse, man. you get your blessings in disguise. You know what I'm saying? Sometimes when things look like they the most craziest, that's really when you probably have your best opportunities to make something magical happen. You just got to be, aware and conscious and paying attention. And speaking on making something magical happen, as I say, the NBA is in the off season. All right, summer league just ended. Um, it was a lot of interesting things going on in the summer league. I will argue this is probably the best summer league ever in summer league history. There are a lot of young guys with a lot of talent that's going to challenge a lot of veterans for a lot of roster spots for the next few years. The NBA, and knowing how the NBA move like a mafia, you know what I'm saying? Like, I say it like this. Like, all the sports leagues move different, but they all move gangster. So, I feel like the NFL moved like a cartel. All right, and that's no shots at the NFL or nothing. It's no shots and no disrespect to none of the leagues, man. But the NFL moved like a cartel, bro. Just flat out. All right. The NBA moved like a mafia. You know what I'm saying? They're a little more. It's a little more uniform. You know what I'm saying with it. All right. The MLB, man, they move like a free country. Just to be honest. You know what I'm saying? Which, even adds to it more being America's favorite pastime. You know what I'm saying? Just side note from where I'm at right now, just side note. You know what I'm saying? Which even more makes it America's favorite pastime because it be a lot of interesting things going on with baseball, man. All right? And he get 162 games of baseball plus 5 teams now. You know what I'm saying? You get about 8 series, six. You get about six series. You know what I'm saying? Teams fighting for a championship, going for pennants, and I'm glad that it happens when it happens because that is a nice bridgeway between basketball and football. You know what I'm saying? But back to this NBA. The Celtics and the Kings played for the Summer League Championship. Only but a few teams went undefeated. Those were 2 of the teams. I think the Pelicans were nice with a 4-1 record. Not a couple other teams had a nice record. But what was interesting to me that was the MVPs of the Summer League. Now, the MVP of the Summer League for the championship team is Davion Mitchell. College 4-year guy, came from Baylor, I believe. We had that tenacious defense. Defensive Player of the Year. It's like 6'2" guard. People compare him to Donovan Mitchell of the Jazz. And, it's just mostly a lot of name stuff. And, they do have a lot of similarities when it comes to raising and things like that. But from watching some of the highlights, he has an attitude like Dwayne Wade, man. I don't know, or maybe even like a John Stark. I don't know, like Davion Mitchell is aggressive, bro, and he confident. I like what he brings to Sacramento potentially future-wise with De'Aaron Fox and Tyrese Halliburton, but he was the MVP, co-MVP of the Summer League, and he wasn't even a stat stuffer. It was his impact. But for the way he played and how the NBA season works, bro, he should probably be an early candidate for Rookie of the Year. I want to give a shout out to a cat that I went to Ohio Media School. Shout out to Ohio Media School too. That I went to Ohio Media School with cat Michael J. he is a great analyst. Um, Very technical, knowledgeable about the game. Um, he's a harsh critic, but he gives respect what respect due. And I remember when Donovan Mitchell got drafted, he came out and said immediately that Donovan Mitchell would be a Rookie of the Year candidate and he would be a star. And just thinking about Davion Mitchell and not, taking anything or, piggybacking or anything. But it's just when I see his play, and I watched how he operated in summer league and how he virtually led that Sacramento team, made a lot of players around that team look better than they probably would have looked if he wasn't there. I just think about how, the homie predicted that when we was back in classes. And you got to really pay attention to how a player plays and the circumstances he's up under when he plays, all right? Because that could really help further the evolution of this player. But the co-player, the stat stuffer, the co-MVP, the other one, of the Summer League 2021 NBA season, was Cam Thomas. Cam Thomas was picked by the Nets. Cam Thomas might just get a chance to put his name in the hat for Rookie of the Year. And to be honest, in the upcoming NBA season, this just might be, one of the deepest competitions for Rookie of the Year. All right? Because, for once, I feel like each rookie, they got a chance to go somewhere where they could really shine. It's going to be interesting to see what Golden State does over there, with Kuminga, Moses Moody, Andrew Wiggins, and James Wiseman. And it's crazy how that's somebody starting five. Those three names are somebody starting five. And, as I was alluding to before I drifted off back to baseball, the NBA is going to have to add additional teams in the next season or two. I wouldn't be surprised being that, is it next season? Is the anniversary? I wouldn't be surprised if they do that. And I wouldn't be surprised if we see the bottom team tournament for the number one pick added. What a great way to bring in two more teams. Now, some people say it's going to be Seattle and Las Vegas. I'm firm belief that Vegas is on this list. I'm a firm believer that Vegas is on this list. Now, the question is, will it be two new franchises or will the franchise move? I think you could see a combination of over the next few years. I kind of think Sacramento is a team that's going to move out of that market. I also kind of think Memphis is susceptible to a move or shift. I think if Memphis was moved to St. Louis, that would hit harder. St. Louis, Missouri, that little mid. I think that having a basketball team, I think that is a better play that brings in more revenue. More can happen. I also, Seattle is a good market because, Seattle get money up there, man. Washington State do very well for themselves, if I say so myself as a collective, right? And I think, Seattle Supersonics, they got the Seattle Seahawks, they got the Seattle Mariners, now they got the NHL Seattle Kraken. So I think they on there. Vegas, I've been said 2015, 2016, Vegas gonna get all the sports teams within the next 5 years. We're in, year 5, 6. A couple things happen in between, politics wise, nature wise. So, but believe. Vegas will be getting a basketball team and a baseball team very soon. They're already building a basketball stadium. So they already know they're going to get one. And they're going to get a baseball team right after that. And then Vegas going to be so lit. Nevada going to be so popping. The building and technology innovations that's about to happen in Vegas is about to be something. But that's a whole nother topic of conversation. All right. Right now, we just setting the tone for the podcast. All right. Just covering over a little overview of the 3 sports that we're going to be covering over this time of the podcast. So let's get into it. Okay, so who we talking about? Historical franchise and one of the best running back, quarterback duos ever to play the game. This duo went on to go to 10 championships together, winning 7, to the point that it forced what was in the AFL and A-League and the NFL, what was a whole different league, to do a merger and change the championship game to the Super Bowl. Who we talking about? I mean, they call us the mistake off the late. You know what I'm saying? I mean, we did have years of the drive and the fumble. You know what I mean? We had the heartbreak when Modell took the team. I mean, who we talking about? I mean, a team in the 2000s were up until 2017 really just didn't. I say 2016 just really didn't have anything positive of consistency to cling on to. I mean, like, who we talking about? The most talented roster in the league today, okay? We're talking about an incredible offense, an outstanding, potentially great defense, potentially historical offense and defense, and then a special teams unit that hasn't really been talked about, but I really think is going to come together and probably be the shining light that nobody expected to pop off. But who we talking about? We talking about the Cleveland Browns, baby. Yes. All right. Led by Kevin Stefanski as head coach. All right. General manager Andrew Berry. Offensive coordinator Alex Van Pelt. You know what I mean? Defensive coordinator Joe Woods. You know what I'm saying? Offensive line coach Bill Callahan. I mean, we talk about a team that's got Odell Beckham Jr., Nicholas Chubb, Jarvis Landry, Kareem Hunt, David Njoku, Austin Hooper, and Baker Mayfield. All right. We still got a Harrison Bryant, a Dearness Johnson, a Demetric Felton, who is really turning out to be a potential star. All right. Reggie Bush was one of my favorite college players. All right. I felt like in the NFL, the Saints utilized him correctly. That's why they won the Super Bowl. And then they veered off for whatever reason. And all right, you need a guy when you got nice pieces, when you got a system that is complementary to everybody involved, you know what I'm saying, or executing. You need a player that is electric. And the Browns have several now with a few young guys that they can really work in because they got vets that's in the contract from other. Who we talking about? All right? We talk about Joe Woods, who was criticized crazy. I am a culprit about how he played that defense last year. I personally gave the defense more credit for having more talent and being more capable than he was allowing them to use. He begs to differ. Hey, it is what it is. But in this segment of who we talking about, we go over a few position battles, but I really kind of want to hit on utilization more so in this thing, because in my mind, the Browns roster is pretty much set. It's just really about the end of the roster guys, like the last, like you get 11 starters on each side, that's 22. You get 11 backups on each side, that's 44. So I would say to guess like 9 roster slots on top of getting the backups good, valuable play. But, so on the defensive line, which a lot of people are, last year was one of our strongest, it was the strongest unit we had. Probably the whole reason our defense was able to create any type of turnovers that we had in the first place. I think, so people say, okay, we got Myles Garrett locked in for another 5 or 6 seasons, I believe. And then we got Jadeveon Clowney. Now, I specifically remember Joe Woods, defensive coordinator Joe Woods, saying that he built this defense around a player like Jadeveon Clowney. I personally think Jadeveon Clowney is over here to play defensive tackle and not defensive end. I think that Malik Jackson and Taggart McKinley were brought in to see which one is going to work for him at this stage of his career. Is it better to utilize him at the defensive end and move him around, or does it further to stay to use him at defensive tackle and move him around like that because you can move Myles Garrett around? Now, people say, well, he could play defensive tackle, but he's not a defensive tackle. But in this scheme, the defensive tackles have to be pass rushers. So if you're going to have a partner up with a defensive tackle to have with your, historically, potential Hall of Fame great defensive end of Myles Garrett, you might as well get a defensive tackle like Jadeveon Clowney. Defensive tackles get paid pretty good money, and being able to have 2 guys on the defensive line that make good money that you can move around gives you a lot of versatility with the rest of the roster. So guys like Marvin Wilson, Andrew Billings, Tommy Togiai, I think all those guys are going to make the roster regardless, because those guys are run stuffers. And in the middle of the defense, if you do choose to have a Jadeveon Clowney on the outside versus the inside, you need 2 guys that can at least push the pocket, stop the run. They necessarily got to be pass rushers, but they got to be some type of threat on the one-on-one to get a sack. Because having Jadeveon and Myles on the outside opens up the middle of the field. So like I say, guys like Marvin Wilson, Tommy Togiai, Andrew Billings, I think as long as they play well, as long as they make plays, have an impact, I believe those guys are safe. So that leaves you 3 defensive linemen already knowing that you got Jadeveon Clowney and Myles Garrett. So that, that gives you 5 of the same. So now I'm under the belief that they're going to have at least 9 defensive linemen, in rotation. So who are the other 4 spots? All right. I think, Jordan Elliott is a bubble guy. I haven't heard much from him, and every time they show him in a position battle on the screen, it seems like he is losing. I've seen Drew Forbes handling quite well. I've seen Gossett handling quite well. I've seen Hudson handling quite well. He was a 3rd-round guy they got last year. Now, in his defense, though, he played behind Larry Ogunjobi. And, I think he got the wrong message um, from things. Larry Ogunjobi, I always said, was more of a defensive end. Jordan Elliott looks like more of a defensive end to me now that he's slimmed down. So I think he's a bubble guy. I think Porter Gustin is a player. I was of the belief early that he may not make it, but Porter is such good on the defense, on the run side, and 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 creating pressure. He's fat. He's fat. Porter Gustin is extremely fast and quick. All right, that's underrated. Like, he's terribly fast. He may not be that strong, but he's fast. Um, Joe Jackson, a guy that has been getting a lot of shine. Um, Cameron Malveaux, I ain't really heard a lot. Even though he got to start not in the first preseason game, I don't really think he may have much of an impact. Um, and then you got Malik McDowell. All right, so you got Elliott, Gustin, McDowell, Malveaux, Joe Jackson, and Curtis Weaver. All right, all vying 6 players vying for 4 slots, maybe even 5 slots, depending on how it work out between injuries and players who can and can't play and who got to go on injury reserve. And you know what I'm saying? So, a lot of things, help things. And then for the Browns this year, it's kind of okay if certain guys can't play because our depth is so good. You want a guy to come back and be fully healthy. Um, but so, I'm looking in the second game, in this next game against the Giants, because I don't really think the starters are going to play in this game either. I think Case Keenum's going to start again. I think he's going to play the first half, and Kyle Lauletta going to play the second half. I wouldn't be surprised if Kyle Lauletta came and played, the majority of the last 3 quarters in this game, because Case Keenum is on the roster regardless. But you will want to see Kyle Lauletta with the twos. I think he played very well against the Jaguars, so he was playing with the threes. So if this is going to be a guy that, for whatever, for Lord forbid, Almighty forbid, for whatever reason, have to be a guy to come in and substitute, you will want to make sure that this guy has seen good action and he's played with guys that's going to get game time reps or have gotten game time reps in your system. So, I would not be surprised to see Lauletta play against, playing with a DPJ, Donovan Peoples-Jones, see him play with Dearness Johnson. I would not be shocked to see, the second unit line in there with him. I would not be shocked to see that. I would definitely want to see how he works with Njoku and Harrison Bryant. Um, Johnny Stanton, the fullback, with Steven Carlson going down. There was some talk about Johnny Stanton uh, taking up that spot. I thought we still had Janovich on the roster though, so I'm kind of confused with all this. But I have to look that up to see. But I thought we still had the Janovich on the roster. Whatever the case, if Johnny Stanton hasn't played that fourth tight end role, I'll probably see they probably, because Johnny Stanton was a former tight end turn fullback. So he's kind of already halfway through the process, and you don't have to kind of converge your other guys, or convert your other guys. He also he ran the ball in Jacksonville. He played running back, and he ran it quite effectively. He's wearing number 40, and he's not Mike Allstott, but he a big boy out there. So if they want to use him as the fourth tight end, and that could be, an underlying or unwritten consensus, he will probably get a lot of rep with the tools too. It's like I say, man, it's an 18-week season, 17 games. You get an extra team in the playoffs. So, you know, you're going to need as many backups and replacement guys as you could possibly have for whatever reason. And you will want these guys up to speed in your system so they just plug and play, next man up mentality, which is something Cleveland has been harping on for years. They don't even give us credit for that coming, whatever the case. Anyway, um, so also the defense, the linebacker room. Uh, the linebacker room and the secondary. Because I think with this defense, a lot more, as I was talking about the defensive line play, Jadeveon and Myles Garrett are not going to play in this game. Malik Jackson might play, but I doubt if he plays much. Andrew Billings probably might play, but I doubt if he plays much. And I only think them two going to play because Malik Jackson is new to the system. And he's going to need to get a feel for these other guys he's going to be rotating with, as a presence and a leader. And then Andrew Billings just need to get right back into football shape. It's going to take him a couple more weeks. I think the third preseason game when the starters play a lot longer, that's going to help him. So that's why I really think he probably need to play like 2 series here. I doubt if he played the whole first quarter. But a lot of these backup guys are going to play a lot. As far as the linebacker room, Jeremiah Wusu going to play a lot. Taki going to play a lot. Jacob Phillips update. Jacob Phillips will miss the season with a bicep tear. So Tony Fields already has been out. I haven't heard an update of him playing yet. So if he could be able to come back and play this week or at least be available for the third preseason game, that will probably bode well. But that is a mighty blow, and I feel bad for Mr. Phillips. But, as they say, when something happens, an opportunity arises. Mac Wilson is a guy who's been a training camp standout. He had a little injury, a shoulder stinger or something like that last week at the beginning, so hopefully he could play all this game because he's going to need all the reps. Anthony Walker's back. He's probably going to play a little bit this game for sure, being one of the quarterbacks and leaders of that defense, especially in that back, back five, or back seven, however that word, I say back seven, front seven and back seven. It's because the linebackers go, for the secondary and for the in today's game. Linebackers got to be able to do a lot. So, but I expect Anthony Walker to play in this game. Sayoni Taki, he'll probably play a lot, see what he could do. Elijah Lee, a guy who's been with the team, he's got a chance to really solidify himself on the roster with Jacobs down. Jeremiah Wusu-Kilmore, he going to do his thing. And, we just cut Montreal Meander, so I don't know. Or maybe the Browns, in these type of instances, though, you want to play the guys you got, get some extra guys some reps, play a little bit with play the guy a certain position or something, just to see how it might work, just because it's a 1 week thing. But with more roster cuts coming up, I wouldn't be surprised if, because we have a good analytics staff and scouting staff, I wouldn't be surprised if the Browns are eyeing guys on other rosters to help bring in at that linebacker position. Steals like they got with Curtis Weaver, for example, And then in the secondary, Grant Delpit did not play in the joint practices yesterday. He went out the day before. Hamstring aggravation or re-aggravation. But hamstrings are just something you got to kind of just let heal to their own, get some massages, drink good water, stretch. So, now listen, again, as I was saying, to support what I was saying earlier, man, I don't have a issue with Grant Delpit still being out. I want him to, get all the way healthy. If he could play in game 3, that would be ideal. But if Grant Delpit can't play till the season, bro, I'm not even tripping. All right, long as Greedy play, as long as Greedy can play, ain't nobody tripping off Delpit right now. You know what I'm saying? He young, he's in shape. It just stuff happens. All right, so he'll be cool, but I expect to see a lot of Javon Moffitt, a lot of AJ Green, MJ Stewart. You'll probably see a lot of Grant and Greedy. I mean, not Grant. Greg and Greedy in this secondary. Um, John Johnson is not playing. He's definitely not playing. But um, Rodney Harrison will probably play more. Cedric Gregoire will play. Javon Moffitt will play. And, the Giants is in a different place. So, again, in this game, our tools with a few potential playing ones will play probably against the majority of the Giants ones on offense and defense for that first quarter. Depending on where they at with the things, because the Browns been lighting them up in them. They been lighting their ass up in these joint practices. I'm talking about they been dog walking them. Jarvis Landry was having a field day. David Njoku was putting his hands on. I'm talking about putting his paws on Jabril Peppers, and I love Jabril Peppers. I wanted him to come back. I never wanted him to leave, but things happen. All right, we got Odell for Jabril. I can't be mad. All right, but uh, uh, Rashard Higgins, Greedy Williams, Greg Newsome. These guys all made plays. I actually seen Jordan Elliott actually get a pressure on a play, but it seemed like I don't know. It's a joint practice, so maybe he would have got there. Like I said, he looks faster, bro. I think he should play defensive end. So we gonna see because everybody on that defensive line gonna play defensive tackle and defensive end. The only players that's not gonna really play defensive end is the defensive tackle twos because they are specifically run stoppers. So uh, with that being said, though, I kind of predict that this is going to be a blowout. Um, Daniel Jones will probably look pretty cool, but I think the Browns' defense is going to look even better now that guys have had a game up under them. They done had some joint practices up under them. Now they kind of getting into their groove for game two. And a lot of these guys are just guys who fighting to make a roster spot. So, they're getting a lot of time. They're getting a lot of good work. And they're not just auditioning for the Browns. They're auditioning for every team in the league who, that player skill set might fit their team more. We always want to keep all the best players we can, but realistically, everybody's going to get, or at some point they put themselves in a position they're going to get, what they're worth talent-wise. So, some guys you just can't keep because you can't afford them, or you already got an abundance of talent at that position, and that guy's maybe a little too talented to be a backup. You need guys who can be rotational and just be bodies that can make impacts because they do one specific thing or one or two specific things strong versus, doing several things, and then you got to find a way to kind of make them a star. It's a heavy balance, but it's still good because that still give players to be able to find a place where they can make their mark and find their stability and longevity. But yeah, last week I said it will probably be a 3-point difference in the game, even though I started out saying it will probably be a blowout. So I guess sticking with your first mind is always right. They end up, being 13-23 with the Jaguars and the Browns last game, first preseason game. But it really was like 23-6. The touchdown the Jaguars scored, which is really garbage points. I really feel like a lot of that is probably going to happen in this game. And to be honest, I wouldn't even be surprised if the Browns pitched a shutout. Now, that's probably going too far. But, with everybody having more game time under they, and then these joint practice playing against them, being able to see a little bit, or at least being able to see how players play before you play them, I really think the Browns going to come out and with that dog mentality. So I give them a 14-point spread. I think they might put up at least 30 points this game. If it goes the way I think it goes, and Kyle Lewis really plays a lot, I really think Kyle Lewis could really showcase himself and really put himself in a position to have other teams trying to get him. But I don't think he's going to want to leave this system, even if he isn't on the active 53-man roster. He's going to be on a practice squad, and I think it's going to be his personal choice. Nick Chubb taking that cap-friendly money, Myles Garrett taking the cap-friendly money, Kareem Hunt taking cap-friendly money, John Johnson, Troy Hill taking cap-friendly money, Tech McKinley, Malik Jackson, Jadeveon Clowney taking cap-friendly one-year deals. All these things bode well, and set a precedent and a standard. So, Baker Mayfield is going to get paid, but I feel like he's going to get a team-friendly deal too, but he's still going to get paid. I think Baker will get paid Baker probably going to get paid about 40. 38, I'm really thinking. But he probably going to pay about 40. I say about 38. No. And Denzel Ward's going to get paid. Denzel Ward's probably going to get about 18 and 19 a year. He probably going to get about 30 up front. Maybe 35 up front. But, guys going to get paid. So, preseason game 2, Sunday, August 22nd, First Energy Stadium, live from Cleveland, right off the Lake Shores, Lake Erie. You know what I'm saying? Home of the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame and the famous Great Lakes Science Center. Tune in. It should be on your local channels if you got NFL ticket, access, things like that, Hulu Live. You should be able to also catch it there. But this is who we talking about, the Cleveland Browns. Thank you for listening to Game Changer Sports Talk on Industry Sports Podcast. We appreciate everybody's viewing, your listening. Please give me your feedback, like, share, subscribe. All right. You can follow me on all social platforms at DeeTrynt. That's DeeTrynt. You can also contact me via email, DeeTrynt@gmail.com. You can also hit up In the Street Sports, Instagram, Twitter, Facebook. You can also hit up the Gmail, industrysports@gmail.com. Once again, thank you for tuning in to Game Changer Sports Talk. We'll catch you on the next episode.